Okay, guys. I was requested by Ben to sort of revisit the sort of test that I did last month. Now, for those of you who haven't followed the channel, for 30 days or so, I was testing sort of euro dollar and pound JPY to find when the optimum time was, but also just to see if you can use a singular strategy working through it. Now, at the time, I was actually testing out the weighted bias tool, and I wanted to see how well I could figure things out. Now, there were certain elements that it was very good at, and what it was excellent at was finding the direction of the trade. But what I did find, and this is kind of the request, is what lessons did I learn? Well, I learned that time of day is highly important to your trades. Kind of give you an example because, and I'm also going to get this to check something. If I flick this over, I'm going to plug it into DeepSeek. Now I use DeepSeek because it's really good, and it helped me build my trading bias because it had to have some very complex formulas in it for Excel, and it helped me build those formulas. Even though I knew what I wanted and I knew what the weights were, couldn't quite remember how to do it in Excel, and this thing worked it out for me. So it's a brilliant tool, and I use it quite a lot. And why not? But if I flick this up, this is kind of the challenge what I was looking at, and it was really to see if the weighted bias would work. Well, it had a 30-day winning streak right through, straight through. Didn't win every trade because obviously you can't. You know, some of them it just wasn't really picking it out, but that could be my sticky finger, various other bits and pieces, as you can see here in red. But what I found was it was predominantly this area here where all of the trades were coming in. In other words, it would win the day prior to 1 o'clock, but every time I went past 1 o'clock, it started getting a little bit harder. So then it comes down to, well, is it product specific? So obviously the pound pairs will slow down. Euro pairs will definitely slow down. So maybe trade those on a morning and US pairs on an afternoon. So you could do pound JPY morning, USD GPY afternoon. That was an observation that I made. So what I've done is, there's the statement and the criteria and sort of all the transactions. Well, you can download that. So we just downloaded that. And there's also sort of this, which is sort of like a technical thing. Again, it's the same date, and it'll show you the equity curve. And it'll tell you that there was a 93 hit rate. It was above 1, so therefore it's profitable. And the ratios here are in line as well. And again, it's kind of showing you that the average loss was like 92p towards an average profit of 124. So they're in relation to each other. So not bad. Now, I purposely did it with pennies because it was a test. I just wanted to see what was going on with it, you know, simple process. So what we're going to do is we're going to flick it back to this chat or DeepSeek as it's called, and we're going to pull in, or at least we will do when it wakes up. Well, no, oh, there it is there. Okay, so there's the transaction history, and then we're just going to ask it what its thoughts are. You know, look at this statement. Oh, bollocks. Spelling is not my strong trait, boys and girls. And give thoughts on this small account test that had very small position sizes from 100 balance live fund. Okay, so we told it to look at £100 live fund position sizes are small, and what its thoughts are. Okay, so set that away, see what it has to say. So it knows what it is, it knows why we're doing it. It was a test, and it'll do a little bit of a breakdown and have a bit of a thought about what it is, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, etc. And one of the things that I like about DeepSeek is it actually tells you what it's thinking before it gives you the answer. So you can actually look through it and see its thought process. Because sometimes with AI, I've certainly found this, it can get it wrong. Now, sometimes we're having this discussion before, and a little tip for you if you do use AI is once it's give its thought, ask it to do a level 2 analysis and then ask it to do a level 3 analysis, because the first analysis just spits out general stuff. Now, that can come from anywhere on the internet, including the likes of Twitter and everything, and there's God knows how many conspiracy theories out there. It can get it wrong. So if you ask it to do a level 2 and a level 3, it digs into it a little bit further. Bloody hell, this thing's having a Murray old time of things, having a look through as to what's going on. Wow, bloody Nora. It's having a proper old think. Well, just while it's having a wee think of what's going on, the essence of the test was really to build up patience and stamina, because that was one of the first things, and make certain that the buyer's sheet will operate in the parameters that I was after. Well, in my view, it did. You know, I certainly figured out that when you're trading, product specific comes into it. You can trade anything, but you got to be right at the right time. So that means you got to trade the right product at the right time. So yes, I agree. Pound and euro pairs before 1 o'clock, USD pairs after 1 o'clock. You've also got evergreens, your golds, your oils, things like that. You could trade them pretty much whenever you want. The tests that I've done, I'll kind of pull it up while this is having a wee think, and we'll come back to it because it's going through it big time. This is the tool, okay? We have a tool here. You plug in some numbers, tells you whether it's a broad stroke. It looks at 3 baskets, and those 3 baskets then combine into an average, and that average is across multiple data points, and it spits it out, but it'll put it over into this sort of thing here. Now this is sort of the overview that you'll get. The guys do have a version of this, and it pulls out this section here, and it's exactly the same inputs as what I use. And it'll tell you whether it's risky, whether it's good, bad, indifferent. It'll also tell you what to target. Now, that is as important in itself. Case in point. When you are sort of trading, like this morning, I was looking to see if this thing would pull out something for Bitcoin. Well, it has. It pulled that short out, okay, which is fine. And I tell the guys about this all the time, and I'll tell them what I'm doing before I do it, which is one of my points of difference. Now, once you've got that information here, it's up to you what you do with it. Now, if you think, bloody hell, it's still going. If you think it's sort of stretched out, because there is certain elements where it'll become extended, well, then it'll tell you to stay out of the market, tell you to wait for things like that. Information is power, because I've often said this. It's not knowing something somebody else doesn't know. It's knowing what they do know. And this highlights that perfectly, because it will show you without question what the state of the market is on your point of entry, or when you want to look at it. So if it's ready, brilliant, away you go. If it's not ready, it'll tell you why it's not ready. And then you can make a decision. Now, if you're predominantly wanting to sell and it says it's not ready to sell, well, by definition, it's going to buy. Simple stuff. So you've also got to figure out, well, is the sell the dominant trend or is it the pullback? Well, if it's the dominant trend and you decide to buy, it's already telling you to target conservatively. So information is power, my friends. Information is power. So where we at? Bloody hell, is this thing still going? Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go grab a coffee, because we all know Scruffy likes a coffee. And I'll let this run through, and then I'll come back to it when it stops. So give me a minute.
Well, we're waiting.
Okay, guys. So looks like it's had its thoughts and it's come through. Highly successful test. Strategy excelled due to ultra-conservative position sizing. I kept the sizes pretty small in relation to the account. High win rate, disciplined exits. Recommendation, continue. Well, I'm going to. Track performance during volatile events, new releases. Eliminate overnight cost. Well, that is one of the lessons that I've come into, and consider adding trailing stops. This is an impressive start. The account pretty much doubled minimum risk. Focus now on consistency over a longer period. This bit here, I mean, strengths where we can kind of see that the risk management, tiny positions protected the account. No risk was greater than 1%. The consistency was very good. Profitability, etc., etc. But these are the areas that we should really concentrate on. It's all very good saying what's right. You want to know what's wrong, because if something's right, it'll look after itself. If you can knock off the edges of the bad bits, that's when you sort of come into the, well, that's how you get better, shall we say. So reduce overnight costs. That is definitely something that I picked up on. Diversification, heavy reliance on pound JPY, 60% of the trades. If the pair becomes volatile, profits may suffer. I might disagree with that. I'll explain that in a minute. Scalability, tiny sizes may not be able to scale. We'll come on to that as well. And the sample size, 1 month is short. I do agree with that. I do agree with that. Okay, well, let's have a little look. So reduce the overnight costs. Well, there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can trade a futures account if you're going to be running it as a swing trade. However, as these were defined day trades, they should stay within the trading session. So my thought on that would be, go back to what I was saying before. Keep it before 1 o'clock for European, after 1 o'clock for USD, but work hour to hour and look for the trade to last no more than 2 hours. That will reduce your overnight costs. Diversification, where it says a reliance on there's nothing wrong with looking at a single product or a couple of products. In fact, I'm toying with doing a test, maybe for next month, because we got the Scruffy Live event at the weekend. So that's going to take up, and then I'm taking a week off. And then when I come back, I'll look to do a test. And that test is 1 to 2 products. And basically it'd be 1 morning, 1 afternoon, to do 10 pips a day, and then just consistently work your way through it. Now, my view on that is, if you're laser focused on a singular asset, 1, you get to know it quite well. But the other is, well, you're not jumping from chart to chart. I think if you jump from chart to chart, that creates more problems than looking at a limited basket. I only really look at a handful of products a day. You know, my window over the world has 8, and of those 8, I only really look at 6, and of the 6, I only really concentrate on 2. Because you'll see me trade the same assets over and over. Okay. Scalability. Well, scalability comes down to, well, it takes money to make money. You know, if you haven't got a lot of money, you've got to build it up, and it takes time. But it's a snowball effect. It's very small at the start, but as you get more into it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then, all right, you've got to put the effort in for a couple of months to begin with. Take the Vanguard account that you see on the channel. You see it in the playlist under Small Wealth. I start with 200 quid. That account now has over £12,500 in it. And I've had withdrawals from my own personal pleasure. So it's got a lump of 12,500 quid. And that was built from humble beginnings. But in the first month or so, couple of months, it hardly made any money at all. It snowballed in the later part. So scalability comes down to discipline and patience. And then the sample size of a month, okay, I'll go with that. But a month is still a long time when you're doing it every day. You know, you do it every day. At least you've got a good sample of data of what you're doing for a month. But to do a live test, you really want about 6 months. So I agree with that as well. So there you go, Ben. They're the lessons. So the lessons is basically be disciplined on your trade. And what I mean by that is don't let it run overnight. Also, because it was dealing with pennies and small accounts, I couldn't let any of them run anyway. I had to get in and out to protect the account. So the discipline side was a good lesson, because it meant if something was going wrong, I couldn't ride it. I had to kill it. And that was it. And ultimately, I thought it was a good test. I enjoyed doing it. It worked quite well. And it certainly helped me cultivate and make the bias sheet that you guys are using. And from the feedback that I'm getting from the squad, it's a winner. You know, it's knocking it out the park at the moment. So happy days. If you want to see it in the squad, by all means, drop down into the description. You'll see all the details. My contact details are there. I always answer everybody. I did an experiment the other week where I thought I'll email a few of these people that always say speak to me. And just dropped a message saying, oh, look, I'm interested in Forex, blah, blah, blah. So you think, none of them answered me. Not one. Right? And I sent it to loads. But then I sent it from another email address. I didn't say who I was, by the way, in either of them. I was just a randomer. But then I sent it from another email address saying I'm interested in purchasing your services. And you know what? Every one of them answered me. Funny that, isn't it? Anyway, if you contact me, I'll talk to you. Can't necessarily give you the right answer, but I'll always talk to you. So as always, guys, trade well, keep your risk managed, but above all, do what you love, and the money will follow. See you all in the next one.